Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to crafting a Helix Christmas tree in FreeCAD with Greg, Tinkerworm, myself. We are in the wonderful world of FreeCAD and we're going to make a tree. We are going to create a Christmas tree. And I know it's 18th of December, so this might be a bit late for some people, but maybe next year. Who knows? In any case, the idea here is to just, design something. What we want to do basically is take a concept, show you that you can just do it in FreeCAD fairly simply, and then have it in your hands within a couple of hours. Depends on obviously speed of your printer and so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you what we're going to end up with. So here we have the wonderful world of uh, Christmas trees. So this is what it looks like on the bed of the printer. Let's go back. This is what it looks like in FreeCAD once it's done. You notice the line there that means we're going to have to sink it into the bed, but we'll get there. It takes a while. This took me 10 hours to print, but it's such a beautiful model. I just want to share it with people. This is the last stages where the filament change has happened. You can tell that here and here and here. These are the supports, and then we end up with this monstrosity. Once you clear it up, this is me starting to clear up the bottom of it. Once you clear it up, it looks beautiful. And then, oh, I don't actually have that picture. You end up with loads of supports. So if you can recycle that, that would be lovely. But this is what we're going to end up with. So I think you're going to love it. So let's go back to the beautiful world of FreeCAD. I'm using FreeCAD 022, the dev version. It's a nightly build. At the time you're watching, listening to this, you might already see the latest, greatest version, so you might not need, to download it from a nightly built repository. And then essentially what we're going to be doing this in this tutorial, you can do on 0.21 and onwards. It's going to look mostly identical. I'm not going to be describing basics of FreeCAD in here. There's so many tutorials out there. Honestly, just Google FreeCAD tutorial. There's loads presented in different styles. But if you want one from me, just let me know in doobly doobs. Let's get started. First up, we're going to go to the part workbench. Um, you can pick it from here, and let us make a little helix. To make a helix, well, first of all we need to start a project. So new. We want to save this. So I've had a helix example, but I'm just going to put it in. Let's just go with a temporary directory, foo, because I love to call things full. Let's just say Helix tree. There we go. We have our Helix tree. This is our active object. We're happy with all this. Now we can see all the icons, and what we're going to go for is create primitives. This is a very powerful workbench part. Most people actually start in the part design, but do explore part workbench. Again, there's plenty of tutorials out there because it has way more features than the part design workbench. And we're going to go down to Helix. This is where we're going to go. And I'm not going to explain how helixes work, obviously, because I presume you know how they work. I'm just going to put in magical numbers that I've discovered working for this project. And let me just explain you what's going on here. So pitch, I think that's quite obvious. Is it going to describe to us what pitch is? No. Sometimes when you hover over a thing, it just gives you a bit of a tooltip. But you're going to count with me and we'll see. Height, self-explanatory. Radius, self-explanatory. Angle, this is a funny one. Why is it negative? But basically, we want to go from a large, springy helixy thing to a smaller one. So we're going to have to change the angle as we go up. And this is basically a taper angle, right? And the rest of it, we're just going to leave in position because we just want it in the middle. So we're just going to create one. And there we go. We have our helix. Almost looks like the finished product, doesn't it? Um, if you look from the front, this is what it looks like. The So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I can't count. Anyway, I'm going to leave counting to you, but let's just assume that FreeCAD is not wrong in this case. In any case, this is you just have to play with these parameters. What's great about this particular tool is it stays open. I mean, this is a bit of a UI consistency in FreeCAD, but what can you do? It's free. It works. So in this case, it allows us to create multiple of these without closing or having to reopen this and put all these parameters again. So I've created one that's right-handed, right? Now we want to create one that's left-handed. So let's just do the same thing and say create. And voila, we have two of these. I'm just going to move this out of sight. I'm just going to change the line color to be, I don't know, let's make it green because it's a tree, right? There we go. So we have two of them. And if you look from the front, it kind of looks confusingly the same. But if you look around, we can clearly see that we have two helixes. And obviously, in the object tree, we have two helixes as well. So we're going to close this workbench. We're going to save because we like to keep our projects. I'm going to go back to the front. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sketch a hexagon. So we're going to go to the Sketcher. There we go. Thank you. And we're going to say we want to create a new sketch, please. And we're going to create it on, you can't see it probably in here, but there's a little Z and a little X. So we want it to be on ZX plane or XZ plane. Thank you. And here we are in the magical world of the ZX plane. If you didn't get that joke, I'm just going to explain it. Anyway, you get it now, right? I hope so. So this is going to be a shape that's going to basically follow these helix or these two helixes. And you can honestly do whatever you want. If you're doing it yourself, be creative. Don't just do what I'm doing. Try something different. And in any case, this is a CAD, and we can always go back and change things, which is exciting. But for my example, I'm just going to go with, let me think. I think I'm just going to go with hexagon because it's a bit more symmetric. But, again, be creative. I think I did a star once, which is basically two triangles, but let's go hexagon. I'm going to put our hexagon in there somewhere, about 40 millimeters to the right, and we're going to make it 3 millimeter radius. And for the angle, we're going to say 0. There we go. And we have a little helix. Oh, sorry, hexagon helix. We already have a helix or two. But it's still complaining that it's under constraint, and I like for things to be constrained. So let's go to the bottom, and is this constraint on the thingy, on the axis? It is. So that was a redundant constraint. Control Z to take us out of that. Okay, the next thing is going to be a dimension. How far is it from the center? This is, if you're using previous versions of FreeCAD, this is something different. Old sort of if you look at the top row, I'm just going to pop that in. 40 millimeters is what we want. Thank you. These constrained or dimensioning icons look different. They've been kind of a bit more organized in this new version, which is something I love. Another thing, actually, you might recognize as a difference is the task is actually on the right hand side. You can do that in the previous versions of FreeCAD, but you have to kind of set that up. Whereas this is a default in the new one, and I actually kind of like it. Anyway, going back, so we've positioned it 40 millimeters to the right. Why is it complaining then? What can I do? Oh, I can still rotate it. Oh, that's not good. So we can take, there's multiple ways to go about it. You can either take one of these points and restrict them to be on the line there. But what I like to do is I like to take one of the lines and say make it parallel or horizontal. So let's just make it horizontal. Well, I mean, in this case, again, this is one of the changes. It's going to make it whatever's the closest, right? So, bloop, and there we are. It is now fully constrained. So we have our lovely uh, hexagon, and we have our lovely tree. Let's just make a shape. Well, actually, before we do that, I need to duplicate this sketch because we're going to have two helixes, right? Right. So it's quite easy. Copy, Command and C, and Command and V copies and pastes. Obviously, on your platform, I'm on Mac OS. This might be different. Might be Control C, Control V, whatever. Or you can just use your menus. But it's much quicker to do things with the command with the keys, right? It's the sort of the mega user, ultra, uber user way of doing things is via keyboard. So we take one of our, let's hide two of these because we don't need to see all of them. Take a sketch and let's take a helix. And now if we go back to the part workbench, we're going to look for something called lofts, or sweep rather, sorry. So let's sweep. So we're gonna pick a path. So the helix is our path. Let's press done. And the profile is going to be our first sketch. So let's just push it here and bloop, bloop. Select one or more edges from the single object. Ooh. What did I do? Oh, we're going to create solid as well. Is anything happening below? So did pick a path. We said yes. We say okay. Hey, bit of a trial and error. Again, workbenches are a bit inconsistent when it comes to UI in FreeCAD between workbenches and some of the tools. But trial and error, right? Let's save this. We have our first sweep. Let's hide this for now because we don't want to see it. It's obviously at the bottom now because that's the latest item. Inside of it, we have Helix and Sketch, which are still showing. We don't want to see anything at the moment, but we want to show the other Sketch and the other Helix. And let's do the same thing. Let's just select the Helix, select Sweep, sweep the path. Yes, please. Sweep the path. Say done. We want to use the Sketch 1. It looks like we could have used the other one, but let's just do it that way. Create solid, please. Okay. No, sketch cannot be used as a profile and path. I think you're mistaken, sir. There you go. I'm done. Yeah. Yay. I think it just thinks that I've picked both of them, but it doesn't matter. We now have two of them. Two little things. And from the right hand side, you can already see that this looks like the tree. In fact, this is pretty much the tree. Um, It's a magic. It's a magic of sweep. Now, I spend a bit of time merging them, and honestly, I don't know if this is going to work. So let's just try it. Compound tools, yes, please. Oh, we have a compound. Great. That actually worked the first time. That's never happened before. So this is our object, and we can say, okay, well, let's convert this to solid. It didn't like that. Shape is not a shell. Okay. So you've been rejected. So this is Wendy's. Create a copy. Create a simple copy. Hey! So we can hide this. Can I make this into a solid now? Nope. Rejected. Oh well. We're gonna have to live with this. We're just gonna have to say. Actually, let me just delete this because we don't need a let's just rename this to be Helix Tree Body because it's the body, right? What does the Christmas tree need next? Oh, actually, in fact, first the other thing that we want to do is we want to change its appearance. We would like this shape to be green, please. Santa, Santa, please. Sir, please. There we go. It's green. That looks better. Now, it's entirely up to you if you want to put stars on it or anything else. I'm not going to go that far in this tutorial, but you're free to do whatever you want. Next, we're going to make a star. Right? So we have our merged helixes, and we have our Christmas tree, festive, unique, and ready for 3D printing ish. If you're familiar with 3D printing, the problems here are obvious. It's the shallow angles. That's not going to print very well. However, if we go to a friend, Prusa Slicer, I have one that I prepared earlier in here, and in fact, I did a split of it, but and this is a star that I created earlier. But you can see that you have to enable support on build plate only, and as soon as you do that, you get loads of support, and I mean loads. This is enabling us to print this, but it creates a bit of waste. But sadly, that's how 3D printing sometimes goes. Anyway, so this is something to look forward to. But you probably want to see how to make the star, right? Have you ever made a star? Are you a star in the making? Ha ha. For this, let's go to part design. And we're going to have a new, not an object, but we want to, oh, sorry. Sometimes it's confusing because things are on the left normally, and now they're on the right. Create body. We want to have a body. And we want to create a sketch. Once again, we're going to have our sketch on this plane, whatever that was, YZ plane. Let's close this for now because we want to be able to, actually, let me just rename this to be a star first. And in our, let's reopen our sketch. Here's a great thing. So we want to be able to reference the helix underneath to get the height. I mean, after all, this is a parametric design, right? So you should be able to change things. In fact, well, tell me, down in the comments. Well, what else would you have done here at this point? What would you scream at me at this point, or just tell me? I would love to hear what you have to say. We're obviously looking through the right. I mean, ideally, you want to be able to do things from the front, but let's just do things from the right. We like to be right. Not on the right, but we like to be right. But we would also like to see sort of in the middle, what's in the middle of this tree so that we can sketch our thing sort of in the middle. Because if you think about it, if you think about if you think about the plane, it's kind of slicing it through the middle, and we would like to see what's in the middle. Luckily for us, we can do that. If I could just remember which one of the icons was enabling to do it for us. I mean, it's not really necessary to do it. I think it's this one, view section. Hey, I found it. It's very helpful to sometimes just hover over things, and you eventually find it. Other way to do it is basically just go via menu. Um, you notice these letters here, which means we can get to things quicker. But for the purposes of the tutorial, I'm going to be trying to click on things just so you can see what I'm doing. But basically, we want our start to be somewhere here, and then we want to have a little cone that basically extends the tree and kind of pokes the star um, in and kind of connects everything together. So what shall we start with first? Let's in this particular sketch, let's just have our little cone. So we gonna go and how should we do this? This is the bit that I haven't rehearsed. I've done it once, and I think that's enough for me. Let's make a triangle. Just say we want it to be in the middle, and whatever. Let's just put it that there. There we go. Thank you. You can change things, right? Um, Actually, we don't want a triangle to be on the circle. This is a construction circle. You can just select it and then press, in my case, Function and backspace key, which is the delete, and off it goes. The trouble is now this is going to be dancing around. So to get around this, to keep it in the middle, is just one way to do this is select both points on either side, and then the middle, the Z axis, and then create this little icon here, constraint symmetrical. Bloop. And now, anytime I change this, it goes up and down like that. Magic. The other constraint that it created automatically is equal, and I don't want these to be equal necessarily because it's a cone, right? So there we go. That's better. That's better. So I don't know if you remember, but we said our height is 120 degrees. I'll actually forget this. Let's not do maths. Let's not make things too complicated. We can just say, okay, well, we kind of know that this is going to be. I don't know what it just did. It just made a constraint that I didn't need. I want to have a distance here. Thank you. So this is telling us 5.8. Are we going to believe it? You can obviously make it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a cone. You can make it, whatever you need. But we're going to make it a cone in our instance, and we want this to be there, please. And I'm going to constrain it onto the axis, z-axis as well. There we go. Now let's make it this tall. We do want to know the height of it. Let's just make it 10 millimeters tall for now. We can come back to this and change it, but it's useful to have it. And now, if we take this sketch and do a revolve, not groove, but a revolution actually it's called in here. Revolve axis intersects the sketch. That's not good. Actually, I think I know my issue here. So we've done a boo-boo. If you're watching this and screaming at me, I'm sorry. I'll give you your money back. Let's put it there, and let's do it there, and that's better. That's better. So this has been constrained. It's been constrained. We have to do the dimensioning again. Luckily, it's still 10 millimeters, so it's fine. And we need to construct this diameter. This is all to help us in the future. We want this to be 2.8, please. In case we want to change anything. There's still one degree of freedom. It helps to just jiggle things. Oh, I see. Well, so for this, we want the cone obviously to start at the top of the tree, but we can come back, and change the shape or size of the helix, and we want this to kind of follow through. The trouble is we have two helixes and they're not connected to each other, so things could get dicey. But let's just say this is obviously 120 millimeters because that's the height of our helix. Now, not exactly, because you notice there's a bit of sticky outy bit here because our hexagon is 3 millimeter radius, so depends on what edge perked up there, but it should be sufficient. Yeah, that should be enough for us to work with these. What you can do in FreeCAD is go in here and change this. So you can go. I don't know if I actually can. I want to get my helix tree. Helix. No, it's not going to let me. Oh well, forget about it. Helix tree body. No, we can do it. We want to go to our shape. Nope. You know, I'm not going to go through this now, but we basically want to expose. If you look in here in the helix, we obviously do have the dimension in the data. We have it right here. So we could say, look, dummy, can you just take that as a reference from the sweep? Is it going to let us use the sweep? No. Shape. Don't know where it's getting the shape from. Oh well. One of them is going to create, we're going to have it. The other option is to use something called spreadsheet, but that becomes its own set of problems. For this is fine. I don't think we want to change the if we change the height of it, we would have to change the other things like the number of the segments essentially that we have, right? So pitch, which is the distance in between these, and yeah, and then you just make the tree look different and so on. Doesn't matter. There's other ways to do it, but let's just carry on with this. We are making a star. This is a star in the making. Revolution. This should work now. We have to pick a Z. Yes, please. Let's zoom out and let's observe our star cone. It's our cone. Beautiful, isn't it? It's like no cone before. It does kind of protrude into the tree. So let's just make let's just edit our sketch, and we do know we don't even have to open it. We can just say here, actually, I want this to be 123 millimeters, please. No, that's too high. 121. That's not. It's just ever so slightly touching it. Maybe we do want it to be 120. Maybe we don't do it actually. We do want it to be 119. At the end of the day, we're all going to merge all these anyway. And whilst we're here, we can change the. This is the beauty of parametric design. I love this stuff. You can just change things and watch it change in front of your eyes. It's amazing. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Try doing that in Blender or any other, 3D design programs. That's just not possible. But then, you know, it's all for different purposes. Let's just go back. No, stop dancing. So we were looking at things from the right hand side, please. There we go. And let's turn off the origin. We don't need to see it. But now we have our cone. However, our tree is not completed because we want to have a star. We need to have another sketch. This time, we are gonna sketch it, or we want our sketch to be on this plane, please. So Z, Y, Y, Z. Thank you. And obviously, we want our star to, be somewhere here. So how do you create a star? But first of all, we need to be able to kind of see once again, sort of X-ray this cone, right? And if you remember, we need to do this, which is the view section. So QSA. How beautiful! How beautiful! It's very confusing, but doesn't matter. But we want to borrow the references from this part of the revolution. So for that, we have to use this icon, which anytime I look at this looks like to me like a detonation box. So, but if you look carefully, it's just a box with a little arrow pointing at a line. So let's just do that, and we want to be able to get this and that. No, can we do it this way? Oh, I think so. I think we got it. Hey, it's complained about something, but that doesn't matter. We got our points. That's what matters. So I don't know how you would create the star, but the way I'm going to create it is using something called a triangle. I know nobody's ever heard of triangles. Once again, we're going to get our triangle. I mean, let's just have one sort of this way. I actually can't remember which way I've done it. I think I've done it this way. Let's make it 6 millimeters, and let's just say 0 degrees for now. So that's one triangle. And we want to have another triangle sort of at a funky angle, right? So we actually want this to be at this sort of angle. So we literally just want this to be attached to this. Or earlier we can just make this horizontal. There we go. And now we want to have another triangle. The trouble is, if I draw another triangle now, see what happens. If I draw another triangle here and make it 6 millimeters as well, or whatever the other one was, doesn't matter at the moment. And we can put it wherever angle we want. We get another circle around it, and we don't want two circles. That's confusing. We want them to be referencing the same circle. So let's just pick that circle, the second one. Function, backspace, and it's gone. And we end up with 4 lines. Is it going to let me drag them all together? No, that would be too easy. Let's not make things too easy either. Sometimes you have to work for your beautiful designs. That's okay. So let's just bring it down. And let's make sure that this point lies on this circle, and this point lies on this circle. Nope, nope. I think I picked more than a point. There we go, circle, please. Thank you. and this point and this circle. Yes. Yeah. And now we're going to make this one horizontal as well. And there we go. We have something that resembles a star. But there's a problem. We've got some extra lines, right? So if I was trying to pad this now, it's going to complain. It's going to say multiple solids are not currently supported, so we can't do it. However, we can deal with this. So this is a very useful feature, the trim edge. If you're gonna hover over an edge, you notice there's two circles on either end of this line. That tells me where it's gonna perform the cut. So bloop, 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 and because now, because we imported the extra things, it assumes that we want this line to be a thing as well, which we kind of do, but not for this. Anyway, we have our star. As you can tell, it's under constraint. So, did we constrain the diameter we have? But our star is under constraint because we've basically removed all the things that were constraining it. So if you think about it, you can now just like jiggle each individual point. So what I do is, and everyone has their own way of dealing with this, but this is what I do. Again, open to suggestions. If you know a better way, do let me know in the comments. So I picked external points and then the middle point, and I can just click on this icon, which is the symmetrical constraint. Bloop, and all of a sudden we're down to 14. If I do this for each one of these, and oh, sorry, I didn't pick the middle one. My bad. Now we're down to 10. That's better than whatever the initially it was, but we still have a problem, right? We still have dimensions to deal with. So now, if you pick a number of these strategically and make them equal, it is going to like us more. Sorry, I just went Northern Irish on you there. I am trying not to. But it's just such a beautiful dialect, and I've spent a lot of time in Northern Ireland. So something is still under control. Oh, I think I know what it is. No, I thought I'll be able to drag this. Oh, there we go. So I can make funny shapes with this, which is obviously not what we want. So let's pick this point and this one, this line, and constraint point onto the point onto objects. No, I didn't like that. Something is still moving around. This is sometimes a bit of a guess game. In theory, the colors should change. Ooh. So this dimension, let's just keep it whatever it is. This is obviously, I could make this, what happens if I make this a 3? Good. Okay. Let me show you something. So you can say, okay, well, the circle that we have here has a constraint, which is its diameter, which is right here. We can give it a name. We can give it star radius. Let's just make it one word. And in here, I should be able to say star, oh no, star, no, sketch 3, which is where we are. and we say this is a circle. Do you know what? I might not be able to do this. Again, I might leave this for you as an exercise. There is a circle in here somewhere. Doesn't matter. Let's just not go there. This is a bit more advanced subject, and I'm not going to do this. We do now get loads of constraints, which might be a bit confusing. You can hide constraints if you want. I'm not going to bother. As soon as you zoom in, it's obvious what's going on. So we can now close this and say pad and pad. We have a funny looking star. We want it to be symmetric to the plane. Thank you. And here's a beautiful thing. We can taper it. Obviously, we don't want it to be 10 millimeters. I think that's a bit extreme. Although, let's just make it, I don't know, 8. And say minus 10 degrees. No, maybe minus 12. And reduce this to 5. Does this look right? This is the going by the whether it looks okay to you sort of way of doing things. Let's just say minus 16. I honestly can't remember what I did for the other one. I just kept on playing with it like this. And at some point I have arrived at something I liked. And there's no point, it's executed the pad without me actually wanting to do that. Is this something we like? I'm not sure. I think the cone looks a bit fat. Let's change it. Let's go back to the other sketch. This is the beauty of parametric design. It doesn't matter. You can change things later. So maybe this cone is actually not long enough. Let's make it 12 millimeters. Thank you. No, that looks a bit more ridiculous. I think the star needs to be bigger. Let's make it 8 millimeters. It obviously now looks a bit funny, so let's make this 4 millimeters. Or maybe even 4.5 millimeters. Hey, I like it. It looks a bit fat, this, sorry. It looks a bit strange, this cone, so let's just make it actually 8 millimeters and see where this does. Where does it get us? I see what's happening. So the star is obviously referencing the top of the cone, right? So how do we break it away from the cone? It's a good question. If I wanted to move this higher up now, I'll have to find a constraint, the equal constraint. It's going to be one of the first ones because we just did it that way. I think it's this constraint. Let's delete that constraint. And we can now move it up and down. There we go. Can we move it sideways? Ooh, funky things are happening when you do that. But we can say we want there to be a distance between these 2 points. And we want it to be... Hello? We want it to be, say, 2 millimeters. But we also would like this point, please, to be on this line. Otherwise, things look silly. Oh, yeah, that's better. Bloop. Hey, look at this. We got a star. I mean, if you look at the if you look at the whole thing, it actually doesn't look too bad. And if you think this looks too bad, I mean, you can design your own, right? This is what this tutorial is all about. See, once you change the colors of things, all of a sudden it looks very fitting. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, I think this is something I didn't cover in my own model, but I think we need a base. It's all about the base. So there's a couple of ways to go about this. You can create a body in a part design again, but you can if you go to the part workbench, there's already predefined solids that you can design here, and you can create your own shapes and you can create your own primitives, which is obviously something we use already. But on this occasion, I'm just going to go back to the part design, but you don't have to do it that way. Sometimes when you just want to create a simple box, say, you can just do it, in a part design, part workbench. But on this occasion, let's go back to this one. We're going to do this on this. We want to hide the both of these. We don't want to see the helix. One of the helixes is sticking out. Oh, thank you. So we have a sketch. We know it's roughly 40 millimeter diameter. Let's have a octagon base, because why not? And let's make it 45 millimeters. And let's make the angle 45 degrees. There we go. There's still one degree of freedom, which I don't know what it might be, because generally this thing tries to be very good, but obviously the angle actually didn't get restricted properly. So strange. Anyway, doesn't matter. We can do it. We can fix this very quickly. Very good. Close. And we have our beautiful sketch. Now, if I enable the star and the helix, you notice this kind of cuts right in the middle, which is what I want, because this isn't going to sit flat on any bed. So I want the base to actually cut through the bottom of this tree. Otherwise, kind of getting it the right way is a bit more complicated, and honestly, ain't nobody has got time for that. So we can take our sketch and we can pad it, but we don't want it to pad it this way. We want it to be reverse, please. Actually, we can even do it symmetric if we want to, and it's still sticking out a little bit, even though we did it 45 millimeter. Interesting. We can go back and change that. Let's make it 10 millimeters, because why not? We can do whatever we want. What I like to do is I like a tapered angle to it, because it looks a bit more funky that way, more Christmassy. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. And I'm going to go back to my sketch, and I'm going to make it 50 millimeters, because again, I can. The beauty of parametric design. You can go back and change things that you've made already. So now if we look at this from the front, it's going to look like this. But we're going to presume that nobody's going to watch it from that angle. So this is our tree. Ain't that beautiful? And obviously, how much it sinks in and all that, you can adjust that. Like, let's change let's rename this to be the base. And let's change its color from the boring gray to black, because, that kind of accents the rest of the tree. And I think that looks magnificent. That looks amazing, if you ask me. So, are we ready to print this? Well, I'll leave the design. Well, you leave the design to me, but I've already printed a couple of these. And spoiler alert, it takes quite a few hours to print one of these. So, what we can go through very quickly. I mean, I'm at the very end of this video. I'm going to show you a time lapse of this printing. But before we get there, would you like me to walk you through Pusher Slicer and slicing this up? Or is that something you want to just forego? I mean, it's up to you. If you're bored already, get yourself a cup of tea and then come back. But leave a comment down below before you go and tell me what you think. Isn't FreeCAD awesome? Because I think it's amazing. Now, to export this, I mean, you can export each one of these items separately, but that would be silly since we have the base kind of integrated with the rest of the tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all three and say export helixtree.stl. Yes, please. Now we're going to go to Pressure Slicer. I'm going to close this because I'm going to say new project, please. I'm going to discard all my extra things that I've been playing with. Now I'm printing this on Mark IV, Pusher Mark IV with the 0.6 nozzle, but obviously this is gonna work on most other printers, no worries. And Pusher Slicer is amazing. I highly recommend it. It works with so many printers, and you wouldn't believe how many printers actually, how many companies actually use it. Even though that doesn't look interesting. Import STL Imperial units, please. Yes, we are in a foo. Yay. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many. That's okay. It's supposed to be 120 millimeters. I don't know why it thinks it's too big, but no worries. Not to worry. Now, when you work between Pressure Slicer and FreeCAD or any other software, the shortcuts are different, which is sometimes confusing. But you can do in here, you can do scale. Oh, so interesting. Um, let's do this again. Let's say new project. Don't save. Import STL. See, I've never had this problem before because I'm recording a tutorial. There you go. When you don't tell it to import it, and I must have clicked on something strange. Oh, I said imperial units. Oh, who cares about imperial units? They're outdated. Nobody should be using imperial units in 2024, 2023. Nobody, honestly. So here's our tree. It's obviously at a slight angle. They're orientated in the wrong way, but we can fix this very quickly. We can just say, I want you to rotate it, please, 90 degrees on the y-axis. Nope, that's a mistake. I want you to rotate it on the z-axis. I think so. Yay, that's the one. Obviously, the z-axis is the one going up and down and rotating around it. That's the bit that I didn't quite articulate. But if you look at the slicer, it's obviously going to say there's an issue. Floating bridge anchors, loose extrusions. Consider enabling supports. It's very much a right because it shows you in blue the bits that are kind of funky. Overhang, perimeter. That's not going to print very well. So we have to enable supports. But the problem is also one of the things that's hanging off is our star. So if you look at it, these bits there in blue again, they're not going to do very well. So we can say enable supports everywhere, but that creates another problem. Oh, interestingly enough, it didn't actually do what I thought it's going to do. It's not going to create supports, the way you think about it because of the base. So in my case, I printed it without the base, but it depends on how big you want it. So in Pressure Slicer, you can do this cool thing you can do, and nobody's going to know that you did it. Trust me, I do it all the time. You can just sink things into the base. Let's say it shows you in white the bits that are the outline in white, the bits that are resting on the bed, and you want that to be big. So that's great. So now, sorry, I want it to be everywhere. Yeah, so now it's created all the supports, but obviously it's a lot of supports. This is just going to take 2 hours and 38 minutes, actually not too bad. However, this is a fairly small tree, right? It's 128 millimeters. That's about 12 centimeters. Let's say we want to scale things up. Let's just make it 50% larger. That's gonna wreck the our syncing, right? Because it made it large, but we can fix that. Bloop. Again, I'm looking at the white outline and just trying to make it maximize this. I think that's good. Maybe ever so slightly higher up. There you go. You want to have a solid base. And now it's 193 odd millimeters. That's not too bad. Let's make it slightly bigger. Let's make it 160. The trouble with the percentage, the scale percentage, is that it gets out of hand very quickly. So you have to be careful with it. Like if I go 170, that might be actually too big. You may say, "Oh, great, but can you just not make it bigger in the CAD?" Yes, I could. Yes, that's also one other option, but we're not going to do that because we're playing with the slicer now, just to show you what to do here. There we go. That's our beautiful tree. How long is it going to take? 9 hours and 38 minutes on this particular printer. Obviously, if I change the smaller nozzle and smaller layer height, that's going to take longer. If anyone has a resin printer, I would like to kindly ask you to print this in the smallest scale possible and show it off. I would like to see it. If you look in Doobly Doobs, there's going to be a link to printables. I've already created this a while ago and printed a couple of these, and I shared with the world. So if you're here just to see things, just see what I've done. If anything went wrong, obviously, please do leave comments down below. Do ask questions. We are here to learn. But there's the problem here is that our star is kind of, it feels awkward, right, to have all these supports just for the star. And obviously, we would like our star to be in different color. So in Pressure Slicer, you can go back in here, and you can say the way I do this is I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, when did the profile change from this one to round? Where did our cone kicked in, right, into position? And I can kind of start seeing it somewhere in here. Or not, maybe. And there we go. So I can just do the plus, and our star is now a different color. Doesn't matter what color it shows here. You can change that color if you wanted to, but let's just not be too paranoid. Let's do the rest of the tree in green, and let's do this one in yellow because we can. There we go. So that's one way to do it. But the other way to do it, which I think is just amazing, and this is, 2-3 years ago, this is something you would have to do in other software. But you can now do this in the slicer, which is just amazing. And there's so much more you can do in the slicer. It's just, it's truly magnificent. But you can move this plane up. Let's just zoom in on the situation a little bit more. You can move this plane up, and it shows you in the white outline where it lands. And we do want it to kind of go slightly up. Obviously, we could design this slightly differently. Let's just go there, because why not? And so we can just cut this like this, and then you have to glue them together. That's one way to do it. But there's even a better way. You can just say add connectors, and look at this. I want to have a plug. I want it to be prism, and I want it to be square. I want it to be, let's just say 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters. And now you kind of have to carefully place it somewhere in the middle. Although I haven't done it so carefully, so let's just adjust it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but So we have a plug, prism square, blah blah blah, rotation. What happens? Yeah, let's make it a frustrum, which kind of gives it this little funky shape. And actually, Let's make it slightly bigger. Let's make it slightly bigger. And go and confirm connectors. Perform cut. And now we can end up with two objects. You notice the star is now no longer on the top. It's now on the side. And we can say we want these to be arranged on the bed, which is what it's done. But we could also say we only want to print the star. And if I press this icon now, it's going to place the star in the middle. And we can, print this star in a different color. Isn't that amazing? This apparently only takes 14 minutes. So obviously you can make, now that we've made this change, or if you want to switch this, what I do is I press Control and this little eye icon. If there's a better way to do this in Precisizer, do let me know in comments down below, because I have no idea. This is what I do and kind of works very well for me. But if you notice now, we're only up to about 216 millimeters. We could make this slightly taller. Oh, and the base is back. Ooh, that's not good. Let's just sink it back in. I mean, if you want to print it with the base, by all means, help yourself. I'm going to tell you now. You're an adult, you can do whatever you want. As long as you don't hurt anybody, everything's allowed. So now we're down to 194 millimeters. You can make it bigger. Anyway, you get the idea. So, just to recap, we've made this beautiful tree from two helixes. We made one helix, we made a second helix, we joined them together, and we made a beautiful helix tree body. Then we drew a beautiful star that we can change to be whatever we want. And just to, ground things up, you see what I did there? I'm here all week. I've added the base. I've added some base. And we have this beautiful model. Let me know if you want me to share this, or if you're happy just to recreate it yourself. But I hope you enjoyed this. And you know what they say, do not subscribe, do not share, by all means, never comment on anything, because you never know. I'm just joking. And do check my printables and, do subscribe. Do let me know what else would you like me to record. We are going to be playing with CNC machines next, but I'm happy to do more 3D printing. I'm Greg, this is Tinkercad. No, this is not Tinkercad, this is Tinkerworm. And I hope they enjoyed this. Bye-bye.